In a country where honesty can be dangerous, these stars still chose to live in the light. They faced pressure, silence, and fear, but refused to erase who they are. Sergei Polunin is the kind of artist who comes along once in a generation, brilliant, unpredictable, almost mythic in the way he moves across a stage. He became the youngest principal dancer in the history of the Royal Ballet, but his fame didn't follow the usual polished path. Polunin danced with a ferocity that felt more like a confession than a performance, every leap filled with rebellion, every gesture soaked in emotion. His tattoo-covered body challenged the pristine expectations of classical ballet. His wild child persona clashed with the industry's need for discipline. And when he openly discussed his bisexuality, he shattered yet another barrier in a profession often built on silence. Polunin is a paradox, a storm inside a dancer's frame. His genius is volatile, his artistry explosive, and his truth impossible to ignore. He is Russia's most controversial ballet star and its most unforgettable. Philip Kirkorov is excess, spectacle, and charisma wrapped in one dazzling package. For more than 3 decades, he has dominated the Russian pop world with performances that feel like entire universes, glitter, fireworks, bold costumes, and a level of theatricality that only he could pull off. To millions, he's not just a singer. He's a cultural monument, a man who built an empire on glamour and audacity. When Kirkorov acknowledged his bisexuality, it didn't just make headlines, it shook the foundations of a deeply conservative entertainment industry. He became a symbol of courage for countless Russians who had never seen someone of his stature live in truth. Philip Kirkorov didn't simply break the mold, he smashed it, sparkled it, and danced on top of the pieces. Sergei Lazarev has the kind of voice that fills arenas powerful, emotional, and unmistakably his own. As a 2-time Eurovision finalist, he became one of Russia's most internationally recognized stars, known for his precision, passion, and flawless performances. But behind the spotlight was a man carrying a truth the world didn't yet know. When Lazarev came out as gay, he did it with humility and sincerity, opening a conversation about LGBTQ+ visibility in a country where such openness can be dangerous. His revelation was more than a headline, it was a cultural shockwave. Fans embraced him not only for his music, but for his bravery. Sergei Lazarev proved that no amount of fame can shield you from fear, and that choosing honesty in the face of that fear is the very definition of courage. Long before social media, long before representation became a global movement, Boris Moiseev stood alone, flamboyant, loud, and beautifully unapologetic. In a country where queerness was erased, Moiseev dared to be seen. His performances were part cabaret, part satire, part rebellion. His camp aesthetics, dramatic choreography, and unapologetic homosexuality created a character so bold that no one could look away. He was ridiculed, criticized, adored, but never ignored. Moiseev wasn't trying to fit in. He was trying to exist in a world that insisted he shouldn't. And he succeeded, becoming a pioneer whose courage paved the way for future generations. He was queer in a time when queer people had no platform, and that makes him legendary. Pavel Tabakov represents a new era, one where authenticity matters more than image. A talented rising actor with a growing reputation, Pavel could have chosen the traditional path: silence, ambiguity, safety. Instead, he embraced honesty and admitted publicly that he is bisexual. For young Russians, it was a moment of recognition, someone from their generation, someone in the spotlight, choosing truth over fear. His openness challenged the quiet, suffocating expectation that queer Russian celebrities must hide who they are to succeed. Pavel isn't just an actor. He's a symbol of a shifting culture, a sign that change, however slow, is possible. He embodies the courage of a generation that refuses to shrink itself anymore. Ksenia Sobchak is one of the most polarizing figures in modern Russia, a TV star turned journalist, actress turned political candidate, celebrity turned social disruptor. But beneath the glamour and controversy lies one undeniable truth: Sobchak has courage. In a country where LGBTQ+ rights are silenced, erased, or criminalized, Sobchak has repeatedly used her platform to defend queer Russians loudly, publicly, and without apology. She speaks when most remain silent. She challenges when others retreat. She risks her career and reputation by supporting a community that the political machine prefers to ignore. Whether you admire her or criticize her, Sobchak's advocacy is rare, almost unheard of in Russian public life. Her voice is polarizing, but it is powerful. And for many LGBTQ+ Russians, it is one of the few voices speaking for them at all. Oxymoron is one of Russia's greatest lyrical minds, a rapper whose intelligence, emotion, and political courage made him a generational symbol. Though he is not queer himself, he became one of the strongest public allies the LGBTQ+ community has ever had in Russian music. He openly condemns violence, discrimination, and homophobia in a genre and a country where such statements are considered dangerous. His willingness to stand with queer people cost him fans, attracted extremists, and placed him under constant political pressure. And still, he didn't back down. Oxymoron represents a rare form of bravery, using his influence not for comfort, but for justice. In a society built on silence, he chose resistance and earned the respect of progressives across the world. Renata Litvinova is not just an actress or director, she is a living aesthetic. Elegant, surreal, enigmatic, she moves through cinema like a dream brought to life. Her voice, her style, her presence, everything about her radiates queer iconography. For decades, her creative and personal partnership with the legendary singer Zemfira ignited fascination. Their bond, often romanticized by fans, became a cultural touchstone for countless queer women in Russia who had never seen their desires reflected in mainstream art. Renata doesn't need to label herself. Her work speaks in whispers and metaphors, in longing glances and artistic codes understood instantly by those who live between the lines. She is a muse, a mystery, and a symbol. A goddess of cinematic queer culture. Zemfira isn't just a rock star, she's a force of nature. Her voice, haunting and deeply emotional, defined the sound of an entire generation. For queer audiences across Russia, her music became a refuge raw, honest, and painfully beautiful. Though she avoids labels and rarely speaks about her private life, the imagery in her songs, the gender-fluid storytelling, and her long connection with Renata Litvinova built a mythology of queer longing around her name. Zemfira gave Russian rock a soul. She gave queer Russians a soundtrack. She gave silence a voice. Her mystery isn't a wall, it's a language. A way of saying everything without saying anything. Slava Mogutin's story reads like a novel, brilliant, rebellious, and ultimately forced into exile. As a young writer in Russia, he was persecuted for his homosexuality and outspoken political views. He became the first person in Russian history to be granted political asylum in the United States due to LGBTQ+ persecution. But exile didn't silence him, it liberated him. Today, Mogutin is an internationally celebrated photographer and multimedia artist whose work is bold, provocative, and unapologetically queer. His images explore sexuality, identity, and defiance, with a rawness that challenges every norm he grew up under. Slava Mogutin is living proof that sometimes freedom requires leaving home, and that queer art can rise from pain to reshape the world.